Hello, everyone. Oops. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hemingway Jones live fountain pen show, our little corner of the internet where we talk about fountain pens, inks, journals, and journaling, and just about anything and everything that's going to keep you inspired. How are you this evening? Lovely to see everyone. I see we have a nice representation of the usual Tuesday night fountain pen club here at Hemingway Jones. So lovely to see everyone. We have a fantastic show for you this evening. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, as we often do, and who knows which tributaries that we will go down in our thought processes this evening. So it should be really, really fun. Okay, so just to give you a rundown of what's coming up on tonight's show. I finally have embraced an eyedropper pen after almost, how many years? Certainly 30 years of fountain pen use. And I'll tell you a little bit why, some of what my hang-ups were and things I had to deal with. But I pushed through all that and I embraced the eyedropper. So very pleased about that. And I'll tell you why in the circumstances. Should be fun. The other thing is I thought I'd tell you some kind of behind the scenes stuff of working with some brands and some of the quirky and interesting things that come up there. That's always fun. And then I thought I'd update you on some of the goings on with some other channels that I'm collaborating with, which is always super fun too, at least for me. And my voice is almost back. I don't know if you can tell, it breaks now and then. I actually just did a video on the TWSBI Eco that you'll see, I guess, now in the end of October. That's my production schedule. And You'll hear my voice not quite there. So, but it sounds okay tonight. So let's see how we do. And another very important thing this evening is I will have another Illuminati member joining me at the end of the hour. It's pretty exciting. It's one thing I think is really unique about this whole Hemingway Jones enterprise. You have an opportunity to participate directly. You can not just join the conversation in the chat, but you can join the conversation right next to me. That's super fun. So we're doing that. We also do correspondences and letter exchange for Illuminati and Cognoscenti members. So consider becoming a member. This is, and I can say this confidently, just the best community of lovely, generous, knowledgeable people. I am so proud to be ranked among them. So just fantastic groups of people. So consider joining, or at least consider subscribing if you've been watching every week. I appreciate that. I love bringing new people into the conversation, into the comments, and everywhere else. So super fun. So I see some nice people. So John Manuel joined us last week on the show. He said, I loved being on it. It was really fun. John, you were fearless and you did a brilliant job. Very proud. Well done. I see Ali J is here. Things are always a little brighter when Ali J is here. Miss Marilyn Darling's here. Evan Otto. And who else? Debbie's here. Hello, Debbie. Shane, the mighty Shane. So we have a lot of great people with us tonight. Tom Morley, who I wrote a letter to recently. So pretty exciting stuff. So maybe we should talk a bit like a pen check, sort of as the watch channels do and some of the other fountain pens channels do as well. I used to do them at the beginning of my videos, but I stopped because I had too much stuff front loaded at the beginning of my videos. I would do it introduction where I would come on and introduce what I was going to speak about. Then I would roll the opening credits that I use now for the live. I've sort of readapted them. And then I would do a pen check, and then I'd get into the content of the video. But the problem was that like 2 minutes had elapsed between the beginning and then. So I cut it out. But I can do it now. We have a lot of time on the live show. It's a luxury of time. So I've been using the Lamy 2000, believe it or not, quite a bit. And if you haven't heard the story by now, an absolutely scandalous story. Brendan Schmidt from Atlas Stationers sent this along with an order that I did. I bought a Aurora, beautiful pen. And he knew I said I'd never buy this pen. I think I said I'd never own it too. So I'm only in contradiction for half. So it's very nice. He's a lovely guy. You guys all know Brendan Schmidt. I'm going to have him on the show soon. And he sent this. He is a funny guy, and I love him to pieces. So very nice. So I've been using this quite a bit, and I'm going to tell you why. I went really radical with the ink, guys. Really radical for me. So I put an ink in here that he also sent. He sent Anubis ink. I believe that's a Warringel ink. And it's Anubis, which you guys know my fascination with Egyptology. How many times have I shown you this that's always handy? The mighty 100-year-old Egyptology inkwell that's always full of Jerbon Eclat de Saphir. It's a little dusty. A little tiny bit dusty. I'm going to have to dust it. Eclat de Saphir is in here. It's my favorite ink. Always brimming with it. I just refilled it, so I'm being very careful. But this is really beautiful, isn't it? And I love to have this next to my Egyptomania, which, guess what? My Egyptomania is next to it right now. Which Terry Edginton was lovely enough to send me this case. So here's my Egyptomania next to the inkwell. I'm going to take an aside. This is a perfectly matched case for the Egyptomania. Terry and I were recently speaking about the one thing you have to be careful is this metal zipper here. So when I open it, I always fold it back, or I put my hand like this, and then I pop it out like that, just to keep it nice and shiny. This is an absolutely gorgeous pen, the Egyptomania. So I put my hand there, I protect it, put it in there. But how could I not use this fantastic carrying case? Because the reason Terry sent it, she took pity on me. Because I was storing it, because I always keep it on my desk in this. And I think it was probably worthy of a better case. So thank you, Terry. Terry's name's going to come up a lot in the hour. She has been just an absolutely generous, fantastic supporter of the channel. But I didn't finish my Lamy 2000 story. So Brendan Schmidt, lovely, sent this along. Thanks for the likes, guys. I see the likes going up. It's really nice. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So he sent this along, and I've been writing with it so that I can really get acquainted with it. I feel like I certainly am. I filmed a review. I'm really proud of that. That also will be airing at the middle of October. So super psyched for that. But I put in Anubis ink, and it's a shimmer ink. Maybe I'll show you what it looks like. So it's super fun to write with. And the reason is that I'm writing right now a video I think you guys are going to be very psyched about. So right now I am writing and getting ready to film the top 5 fountain pen inks for dark academia. I think it's going to be so much fun. We've done pens twice. There's one coming out called Applied, like Dark Academia in Action, where I go to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and I work on my handwriting by studying the correspondences that are in her collection. It also has a story of the art theft at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, and some things, and I make this claim boldly, there are things that only I know about that museum, because I used to work there. So, or at least experiences that only I know. So I think you're going to really enjoy that. So I do the whole history of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. We weave in the theft. We talk about dark academia applied, journaling in the courtyard of this gorgeous museum, and studying handwriting there. You guys are going to love this one. I can't wait for it to come out. But that's not what you asked for. You asked to see Anubis. So let's take a look real quick. If you don't know Anubis. So, these are my latest inks. It's Tobacco Burst from the Les Paul collection. Benjo's Hamlet. Here it is, Anubis. So, it's a shimmer ink, but it's a very fine shimmer. And it's very dark and very mysterious. So, this is a perfect dark academia ink. And I'm sort of stuck on it. So I've been writing with it quite a bit to kind of get my feel of the ink too for this upcoming video. So it's really pretty. Really nice ink. I just like, it sort of is, I almost hate to describe it this way because it sounds like vandalism in a way, but imagine if you had a statue of Anubis, and statues of Anubis are always black and then they have the gold accents. And imagine if you were to sort of grind that color. Let's just say we take the color and grind it and put it in a pot. That's what this is. It just really feels like the statue, which I really like. So this is going to be a dark academia ink. I'm not sure which ones else will be. I think I'm running out of it too, by the way. I've been writing so much with this that I feel like it's starting to run dry. So I'm not going to write anymore. I need to fill this. But absolutely brilliant pen. Is it? Well, we'll find out in my review. Are there things I love about the pen? Yeah. Are there things that I don't? Yeah. Does one cancel out the other? Maybe. I think it's going to be a really interesting review. By the way, the review that I did of this, we talk about Bauhaus, and we talk about the designer of the pen, and we talk about a lot of things that tie it in to my life. So I think you're going to enjoy that too. Ooh, Taz, my man. Taz with a super chat for $9.99, and he says, "You made me desire to purchase my first Mont Blanc 149 Meisterstück. Have the Lamy as well. Always liked it. Thank you so much, my friend. Very kind of you. I really appreciate it. It helps us support the channel, and it's absolutely huge. So thank you. I'm going to put it up again. Taz, thank you for the generous support to the channel. Because we're trying to make the channel self-sufficient, separate from me. Because we want to be able to buy pens for the channel. We want to be able to just do different things, including the Washington, D.C. fountain pen show. So my wife and I were speaking this evening, and I said, you know, we really have to go. We just have to go. So we're going to figure it out. We're either going to take the Acela or something else. We might fly. And the reason why we need to figure it out is my daughter doesn't travel long distances well. And I don't go anywhere without her. So we are a team, the three of us, and we travel together. But I just feel like it's a must-do. Like, I was thinking that we might drive and then maybe stop on the way down, because I haven't been to Longwood Garden or the Brandywine Museum in about a decade. And I love both of those places, and they can be on the way. They can be. I could go the other way. I could take Delaware Memorial Bridge, or I can go down 95. We'll see. So maybe do something like that, stop on the way. But I do believe there will be a Hemingway Jones meetup at the DC Pen Show. So we'll make that happen. We'll have a designated spot and a designated time, and we can all get together. Because I think if we don't, we might not see each other. From what I hear, it's so big that we could all miss each other and still all be there. The other thing is we're going to stay at least one night at that hotel, maybe two. Because I'll probably just go one day. I don't know if I'll go two. But maybe the night before and the night after, and then we'll head into Washington and hit the museums. You know me and museums. So that's the plan, but I'll let you guys know when it's 100% set. I think we'll probably book everything in January because there's plenty of time. It's August. So super excited. So I know, Kate, you're going, right? Let me see. Is Kate in the comments? Kate's in the comments. Okay. So Kate's going. I know at least there'll be one person there, also from the Commonwealth, which is very, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm really excited to go to that show. I am. Should we speak about the main event? Should we talk about the main event? I think we probably should. Sometimes I wait too long, don't I? I put you guys through too much. Too much anticipation and suspense. What was the Oscar Wilde quote? The suspense is killing me. I hope it will last. I think that was the quote from him. Joseph Brown will be there. Gino. Terry, I picked up your comment. Maybe you'll be there. I don't know. But Gino will be there. Michelle T says, the DC Pen Show is so much fun. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to meet a lot of people. It's the most fun part about all of this is the social aspect. Super fun. Meeting you guys out in the wild. Terry says she's going to try to make a plan to go. That sounds brilliant. Look at this. A generous super chat from Wolf Kate Witch. $5. HJ, some folks say audio is coming through one speaker. Ooh, am I doing something? Let me check my connections. I did turn it down, but it's on. I don't know. I turned it down a little bit because I was listening to the playback last time and it didn't sound very good. Does it still sound bad, guys? Let me know about the audio, won't you? I mean, it wouldn't be the Hemingway Jones channel if it didn't have funky audio, right? I mean, isn't that how it is? Isn't that always the problem? So anyway, let's talk a bit more about the main event tonight, shall we? And that is Terry Egerton gave me this wonderful pen. Let me show you guys. This is an Opus 88 Medusa, which it's hard to see these. See, the camera only focuses. There it goes. There are two snakes on the top, and then there's an Ouroboros on the bottom. So very cool. And this is an eyedropper with a flex nib, which I haven't flexed yet. I haven't even tried the flex nib, which is odd. I've been writing with it without flexing it. But it's pretty neat that it has a vent. Is it a vent? It's more like a like you can stop it up so it doesn't burp or anything when you're traveling. Almost like a vac pen. I often call it a vent because it feels like you're venting it, but what you're really doing is you're just opening a seal back from the feed. But it does have that, so you have to remember to do that. But the big thing is, let me get back to me here, is that for years I've been really tempted about eyedroppers because a lot of vintage pens are eyedroppers, and a lot of folks are much more about taking their pens apart and oh, you know what? Shane says valve. That's kind of what I was going for. Like, it's more like a valve. Exactly. Thank you. So, yeah, I hear people who love to swap out their nibs. They like to change different components on their pens. I'm strangely OCD, where I feel like it's very difficult for me to violate the integrity of something if I get it in its form. So I'm just not all that comfortable with customization. Now, I've done it. You guys know I've changed the nib on my Lamy Vista and my Lamy Safaris. I don't know why that's any different, but the more complex a pen gets, the less apt I am to fiddle with it. And there's people that do wonderful things, and I'm in awe of them, and I wish I could do it, but there's something that holds me back. And it's a combination of fear of messing it up and the fact that I tend to be messy. And that in particular with eyedropper pens came in to the the equation, if you will, because the thought of opening a pen up and dripping ink into it in a measured way, closing it without ink getting any everywhere, and using silicone to seal it in many cases and all that is a bit much for me. And it took a long time for me to get my mind around it. And even the fact that Terry sent this pen to me like a month ago, or maybe longer. And I'm famous for having things in boxes before I get to them and actually use them. It takes me a while to feel comfortable. And I think I've told you this story before, that especially when I was single, I would go to a restaurant and I would drive around it until I felt comfortable enough to go in, or I'd park and I'd like stand out in front of it until I felt like I could go in. It would be a process. Sometimes I'd leave. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I used to travel quite a bit, and part of the reason was I was my best person when I traveled. All the things that hang me up psychologically, I seem to be liberated from when you put me in Italy or Spain or England or something. And also, I'd say I'm much more my best person now because a lot of that is gone. I credit my wife for that. I just feel like maybe I feel safe enough. I can take chances, like walk into a uncomfortable pizzeria that I don't know. But these are the things. So I drip away. I did, and I didn't make a mess. I was really impressed with myself for not making a mess. So far, it's been brilliant, and I've written with it a few times, but I've yet to really dive in. Now, I want to talk to you a bit about which ink I put in there, because the Sailor Mano was so tempting because it has a quality like this, and there were some like Ferris wheel press inks that I thought were nice as well. But I went with Gerbon's, and I never pronounce these correctly, so forgive me. The Emerald de Chivor, which is beautiful, and it never seems to go well for me because I really don't like green inks. But I thought in this it was a magical combination. So let's try it. Shall we? I think we should. By the way, can you guys hear all the tree frogs and things in the background? It is really noisy here. I hope there's not too many audio issues between whatever happened with the stereo and the tree frogs. Okay. So here we have Opus 88 Flex Nib. Very, nice looking with the cutouts and things. Let's see what kind of mood it's in. shall we? Get a little more light down here. Sorry for the little shakes. Can't really help that. See, this is such a lush writer. Are there two S's in Medusa? Medusa. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. That looks right. Sorry, guys. Sometimes my spelling's not totally on par. But I really like this. I'm really tempted to do a video on it, talking about maybe Medusa and how the symbolism has been used through time. So just super smooth. Super smooth writer. Here's my favorite W, by the way, guys. You know I obsess over my... oh no, Kaylee. Well, I'm going to have to put this up. You guys know like 90% of my humor is self-deprecating. So there's only one S in Medusa. So sorry, guys. Let's try that again. Okay. So here's my favorite W. And I forget what I was going to write. But I'm going to write the W at least. Let's try to flex it a little. Oh, okay. That's nice. It's not like the hugest flex, but it's nice. I might check beneath this. Now here's the thing. Sometimes you put down a lot of ink, you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble. I might put another sheet beneath. Might throw me off a little because it's like lines on lines, but let me see. So I like to do my W's like this. I like to do like a nice downstroke and kind of go like this, and sometimes go over the word like that. And I do my V's the same way. I'll go up and then kind of down. Go like that. Oops. Am I going to misspell this too? But I don't always do things the same, but I quite like those. I think those look nice. What do you guys think? So, very smooth writer. And I think what I like about it is that the feed is very, very wet. And I like that. Oh, look, I can do another W. You kind of messed that one up. But it's super fun to write with. And I think the ink matches it very well. So just a fun, different style of writing for me. You know what I've been doing? You know how I've been... Oh, you guys say nice things. Thank you. You know how I've been practicing the historic handwriting? So one of the things I like is you sort of like... You find weird ways to connect words. So you do like of... Maybe like... Of the... And then like you go into the next word like that. Back in the round hand days, they do a lot of stuff like that, which is really fun. So I've written a couple of letters like that, and it's a lot of fun. But sometimes I massacre it. But you can go into any letter. But I think just once is kind of enough. See, I kind of massacred that because there's not enough space in between, but that's okay. Happy little accidents, right? We're okay if we make a mistake. Thanks for the likes, guys. The ink looks really nice. I don't know if it's coming through there. So you can even like make it part of the next word. Sometimes you can sort of like, you can cross a T through a whole top of a sentence almost. Trying to think of some T's. So they do stuff like that, which is kind of fun. Or you can link stuff. I'm not doing a great job of linking stuff. Oh, it's kind of like an interesting way of writing. But the one thing I've noticed, this thing doesn't seem to ever really get tired. It's just ink on demand. The other thing I'll say about it is it's so smooth and so fast that I feel myself sort of struggling a bit to rein it in. Okay, I'm gonna try another page. I see a lot of love for smashing T's and swishing T's and connecting things. So it's super fun. You also can kind of write a little faster. Because you go from word to word. But you really have to kind of give over to abandon. It's almost like a chaotic way of writing. Yeah, it's fun. So I like this pen. There's maybe one criticism. It's a little hefty. I wish it were thinner. I suppose it wouldn't hold as much ink if it were, but it would. It would be kind of nice. It is kind of a chunky pen. I think it's thicker than 149. It's beautiful material. So much depth. Really beautiful. It reflects the light really magnificently. So I quite like that. So, there you have it. Opus 88 Medusa. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Might show up on some lists. It's a little chunky. Makes it a little hard for me to hold right now. But I like it. And you can kind of grip it low enough where most of the chunk doesn't get in the way. But I am having a little trouble with my hands these days. Kind of working on an injury that makes my hands a little tingly. So it's throwing me off a little bit. But very enjoyable. Terry Edginton, thank you. So amazing of you. Such a generous and lovely gift, especially along with the pen case. Thank you. And it adds to the channel. Here it is. Extending our conversation. So thank you very much. Very, very fun. So I thought I'd also speak a little bit about the kind of some of the fun stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Like I used to be, I don't know if, I don't want to misstate it if it was called a brand ambassador, but it was that kind of program for Ferris Wheel Press. And they're very, very generous in the way they interact with people who make videos across any platform. And what they do is they send you, I think it's 2 inks per month, and occasionally they'll send you a pen. And they also give you a discount if you want to buy anything. So they'll take a certain percentage off. Incredibly generous program. The only issue with it was the way that I create didn't really fit in with their parameters. So at Ferris Wheel Press, they only want whatever you use to be Ferris Wheel Press. Which, by the way, from a marketing point of view, that makes perfect sense. So I'm not knocking that in any way. And I cannot say enough, they are lovely, lovely, lovely people. But when they put it out there, they want the Ferris Wheel Press ink to be with the Ferris Wheel Press pen. And I don't think they sell paper, so I guess you're allowed to use non-Ferris Wheel Press paper. I don't create that way. So I like to mix things. So I could never really meet their parameters because I didn't only want to use a Ferris Wheel Press pen. I wanted to use different pens, and to me that's more exciting. And I think if you've noticed, if you ever see Ferris Wheel Press across many platforms, the content that they produce, it's very, very consistent. It's very much a hand with a pen and ink, and I think that's their unified marketing. Or some, I don't know if people still do it, but people used to take syringes and squirt them on little cards too, which is kind of nice. I don't know if you need a Ferris Wheel Press syringe. I don't know. But I couldn't do it. I wanted to use a Schaefer Legacy with some, Tumbling Time blue ink and see what that looked like. To me, it's fun to take a product and incorporate it in what you're doing, to mix it in. And I love when other brands like J. who sent a really nice care package, you might remember a few months ago, probably now. And they were just like, just do whatever you want. There was no preconditions. There was no editorial, nothing. And I did a lot with it, and I still talk about it. I love J. It's probably my favorite ink brand. But Ferris Wheel Press, who I really like, and I kind of miss the interaction with them because they're so nice, and their inks were really interesting. Even though a lot of them are so shimmery and so light that I didn't find them really actionable. They're not an ink I would use every day. I'm glad I own them. I'm glad I experienced them. I think they're pretty. I might paint with it someday, but I wouldn't write with it. So I see some of them limited applications, but some of them are brilliant too. I forget some of their names, but take that iron ore from Atlas Stationers, their specific color that was made for them. That's brilliant. It's dark. It's interesting. I like that quite a bit. But I just could never meet their requirements. So the moral of the story is I dropped out of the program because I felt like I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do what they were asking me to do. And I didn't want to be like a black sheep and not do what they were asking. And they were so accommodating and so nice. But I just decided that it would be better to not continue. Because I just wanted to do what they asked if I was going to do it. So it's always kind of fun, interesting things behind the scenes. Speaking of which, I've been recording with Joost Appelboom of his Pencast and having a brilliant time with that. I've been co-hosting. And we filmed our first episode, and that will be coming up very soon. So it was really kind of funny for me working with Joost because I feel like I'm so loud around him. He is very soft spoken, very sophisticated, just a really nice guy and funny and fun to work with. But he'll say something and it's almost like he sings his words. It's very quiet. He says what he says. And then he'll say, Hemingway, what do you think? And I come in, I'm like, well, let me tell you, and I feel like kind of like a barbarian a little bit, which is funny and fun. It's sort of how I feel around my wife a lot because she sounds very sophisticated all the time. And I'm from Philadelphia. So there's that. So, and I also had to rein it in because it's Yo's show. So I don't want to step on his toes. I don't want, I just want to support him as co host. That's my job. So I would add something interesting here and there, but by and large, I let him take the reins. Of course, it's his show, and that's what co-hosts do. But it's weird. It's kind of a weird feeling as someone who does this and interviews people. I wanted to do like follow-ups and just ask questions and things, and I was sort of like, calm down. It's not your show. Just be normal. Be normal. Just relax for once. Don't embarrass me, I said to myself. And I feel like I did quite well. So please watch it when it comes out and let me know if you think I did well. So it should be interesting. Let me see. Lots of conversations going on. I love it in the comments. Let me see this. Blake Burris, you inspired me to start a Penstagram this week and met some fun people. Love the pen community. That makes me happy. Anytime I'm bringing people together, even the smallest way, is just the best. So brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I want to say something else about Ferris Wheel Press before we get to our guest. And that is that they have this new carousel inkwell that spins. So you pour your Ferris Wheel Press ink in there and it spins. Now, do you guys know I already had the problem with the Ferris Wheel Press bottles not sealing properly because I didn't know I was supposed to keep that seal and push it up in the cap. No one told me until one day I figured it out and I told my wife and she was like, duh, you don't know that? And I had to admit, no, I did not, in fact, know that. Well, carousel, very charming. It looks like a carousel. You put ink in it and it has a carousel top and then you spin it. That's a very, very bad idea. I'm sorry. I'm sure people will have so much fun with it. If I get that, the cat is going to spin it. The cat's just going to spin that until it flies away. I'm going to knock it over. It's going to come separated from the base. I'll go to spin it. It'll come off. It'll spill all over me. This is why I was afraid of eyedropper pens. That's what'll happen. But it's charming. I don't know if you've seen it. Maybe this is why. Maybe they don't want to work with me because I'm saying this. But I just think it's, Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce a Illuminati member who joins us from his remote studio somewhere. Welcome,
How we
Benjo,
doing?
to the
Can you hear
channel.
me?
Can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Brilliant. I can hear you.
Perfect.
You look great. You have perfect light. You have perfect sound. You have nice frames. I'm digging the look.
Hey, if you're gonna be on camera, you got to do it right.
You do. You do, which is why I get my hair cut so often. So I think you need to do a watch check. I Apple Watch.
I have the Apple Ultra, so
Very nice. I'm going to Schwarzkopf it when I get a little older. I'm 56, and I said when I turn 60, I'm going to wear the Apple Watch here for health, and I'll keep my whatever
there
watch,
you
my
go.
daily over there. That's my plan.
I do have clocks. You see behind me, I have clocks from all the different offices that I manage around the world, and I have a
Very
bunch of fake Rolexes that I've picked up in shady places around the world next to
very
those
nice.
clocks.
I love that you've been to shady places around the world.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of like divey places personally. I think it's the Philadelphia guy in me. Like, there's nothing better than like a place that looks nondescript and you go in and have like the best tacos or whatever you've ever had in your life.
Right, right, absolutely, and that's how I am. I'm a street taco guy.
Nice.
I'm always like, take me where your mom would buy food, and then
Oh
I'll eat
yeah. Well,
there.
that's a big ask because a
Yeah,
lot of moms would say I only cook, but yeah, but that's
and I have ended up in people's houses and eaten their mom's chicken adobo or something like that. So,
nice, nice. So Benjo,
yes,
how are you?
I'm great, great. It's so great to be here.
I'm happy to have
Love
you.
it. I started following you on TikTok during the pandemic.
Oh
I did
wow.
not know people did social media content for fountain pens and journaling until I saw your first TikTok, and then I followed you over to YouTube, and I don't really go to TikTok much anymore. So
You know, neither do I. I mean, I do post on there occasionally, but they don't even support me anymore. Like I used to, one of my posts on TikToks had 4.6 million views, and now I'm lucky to get 1,000. So
yeah,
I don't bother, you know, and I think YouTube is better suited for me. I think it's more of a community, and it's a lot more of a conversation.
yeah,
Where TikTok's a lot of yelling, right?
yeah. I find YouTube has kind of become the new podcast for me in many ways. It's a great way I can put it on in the morning and listen
Ooh.
to different shows, different commentary, watch different, not just even pen, but different, just whatever topic I'm looking for and interested in. So it's been great.
Oh, that sounds very nice. I do a bit of that. I like to watch a lot of Roman history on
Yeah.
YouTube. Maorianus is one of my favorite channels. He's kind of
Okay.
like me.
Yeah.
He has a very idiosyncratic way of pronouncing things, so I enjoy
Yeah.
it. And I also I don't watch a lot of pen content, which is kind of funny, but mostly because you kind of like I've said this before, but you want to stay like creatively yourself. You don't want to be influenced at all.
Yeah. I don't watch a lot of, I watch some, so I'm more of a vintage fountain pen restorer,
Yeah, as
amateur.
I found out
Uh,
today, you don't have
yeah.
that handy, do you?
I do, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact. In
could you
fact, you
mind
can see
telling the
behind me,
story
there's
real
a
quick?
TV. Yeah, you can see the TV behind me. That is all Esther Brooks that I've restored up
Wow,
there,
that's
different colors.
brilliant. I-
So
So Benjo
let's see.
sent me pictures of this earlier. Look at this. Tell us a bit about it.
Maybe I
It
can
has absolutely brilliant material. It's so pretty.
yeah. Yeah, and it was kind of crazy how I actually bought an Esterbrook fountain pen with the idea to restore it, and the lady I bought it at a flea market, and she's like, "You got to take these other pens; they suck." And I was like, "All right, I'll take
Ooh,
them all." It was $15, and in there was this. This is a Parkerette that I have yet to restore, but it's
oh,
going to look really
I
nice when
love
I'm.
the red in that.
Yeah, I've never seen one that comes, so I'm excited for that. And then there was this one that I'd never heard of, and it was called a Wasp.
Nice.
And I was like, "What is the Wasp?" And I looked really close, and it said, Fort Madison. I was like, "Well, that's Schaefer." And so what happened is Schaefer in the 1940s wanted to come out with a cheap pen, but they didn't want to tarnish their Schaefer name. So they came out with this pen right here, which was called the Wasp line, which stands for Walter A. Schaefer Pens.
Oh, very
So
nice.
they created a subsidiary and called it the Wasp, and they came out with a couple of different lines of pens, but they just didn't really pick up because Esterbrook kind of had the market on the cheap pen, and what was Esterbrook loved was you could remove the nib. They had 250
Yeah,
different nibs that you could do. You could however you wanted to write, you could get a nib for it. So
yeah,
they came
that
up
was
with the
impressive.
Wasp. Yeah, and they came out with the Wasp at a point, and this nib actually literally twists off,
Oh, just like an
that would,
Estabrook.
just like an Esterbrook. But the difference is this comes out with the sack.
Wow.
And so they
Wow.
would sell this with a sack, and they would say, you get to tune up your pen with a fresh sack every time you want to change nibs.
Hmm, that's
And
clever.
they sold 9 different nibs, 3 of them were in gold. Uh, was not extremely popular, but for Schaefer, it was high quality and it polished up beautifully.
Yeah, so
There's
you
a
polish your pens.
Yes. So
Good.
this was dirty, crusty, nasty. It had some teeth marks in it, and and the gold was all tarnished. And I got a little ink on my finger when I pulled that out. But
Good. That's a badge of honor. You know that.
yeah, and I always have a rag close by for ink.
Oh, sure.
But
Oh, hey,
but yeah,
Lad Gardner's chiming in. I have to read this too. He says, "Great guest so far. No fatalities."
no
Yeah,
fatalities. Yeah.
so far, laddie.
So yeah, so I love taking pens that are
Nice.
completely annihilated and destroyed. I've even taken pens that are shattered and been able to put them back together
That's amazing.
and
You know,
restore them.
Simply
So.
Obs asked, "How did you learn to do it?"
So that's a great question. A lot of research online, trial and error. I when I first decided I wanted more fountain pens, I had just
Hmm.
one or two. I went to an antique store and just bought one,
Mm.
and I didn't know what to do with it. It was a wherever pen from the 1930s. Brought it home, and it was all crusty and nasty. Started doing research online, and then went to a website called AndersonPens.com. They have a brick and mortar store as well, and
Sure.
they sold supplies. I
Oh,
bought
nice.
what
Yeah,
I
I was
bought
gonna
what I
ask.
thought I needed,
Like all the
and
sacks and the levers and
yeah,
things, and I guess you need epoxies and
yeah,
yeah,
and
something, right?
I know some guys I've met that just use Elmer's glue.
Wow.
I use kind of a shellac, for it.
Sure.
But my secret weapon really is super glue. Believe it
Wow.
or not, super glue adheres to those old plastic and that they used, and then you can sand it as if, and then you'll never even know. I've
Oh, that's
put
nice.
whole pens back together that way, and so so anyway, I kind of fell in love with that. And Esterbrook's are the easiest to restore.
You know, I think I
And
have some kicking around here in various stages of decay that I could probably send your way.
send them,
Yeah.
send them. You get the no cost friends with benefits discount, and
Oh,
they'll come back in perfect
extremely
working
kind.
order. But I've loved them. They made five colors of the
Mm.
Esterbrook's in general in their heyday, and they made about six different versions of that color. And I'm trying to get
Oh, wow.
one of each color. Um, and but there's a lot of history. Most people don't know John F. Kennedy signed most of his bills with Esterbrook, so did Lyndon B. Johnson. The space program
Wow.
legislation was signed by Esterbrook's,
I had no
and
idea.
so in fact, you can go online and buy one of those Esterbrook's that when they were signed with, they cost thousands of dollars,
Oh, geez.
but they're there.
That's super fun. I mean, they were such a great sort of democratic pen because it
Yeah.
was a low price point. It's still a great way to get into vintage pens. When folks
Oh,
ask me,
easily.
like, I want a vintage pen, what should I get? And I'm like, well, you always start out with an Esterbrook J. It'll cost you $40, maybe $35, and it's
Yeah.
solid, reliable, great, smooth steel nib. I think the other great bargain that's out there are those the Waterman 52 and a half. Doesn't
Yeah.
hold a lot of ink, but boy, the writing performance is so amazing if you
Yeah.
get the flexi nib. I don't know, did they ever come in non-flexi? I've only seen them in flexi.
They do. I've seen them in a non-flexi. I just restored my first Ester or Waterman. It
Ooh, nice.
wasn't a 52, but it was a different. It was a patriotic one that they came out with right at the end of the war,
Nice.
and it was kind of my first Waterman. I didn't even know what it was. It was so caked with dirt until I cleaned it, and I realized this
Wow.
is a Waterman. Oh, I'm excited
Oh,
to restore that. So
nice. I'm quite fond of a Waterman 5 I have.
very cool. I love the Esterbrook so much that this is actually my Esty, but I have
Ooh.
converted it to the Esterbrook nib. So this is a
Oh
1940s nib. I
yeah.
can't really
What's it
show it.
called? An MV adapter or something it's called?
Yeah, it's the MV adapter.
Yes.
Just
I
because,
have it.
and
I've
you and I,
never used it.
yeah, and you and I have talked about Joe O nibs. I won't spoil the surprise for other people another day,
No.
but the idea is
Yeah.
I just I've this is a nib that I've kind of grinded down myself. It's from the 1940s. It's kind of a medium nib, and I've just really loved it. It made this
Oh,
pen
that's
more
cool.
fun for me.
Wow. And I'm gonna tell everyone what you were just alluding to. So Benjo and I we were talking. Was it through email or was it over on the Fountain Pen Enthusiast site?
Through email. We were just talking through
Okay,
email.
it was through email, and we were talking about Yovo nibs and just kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I sent him a response, and then I wrote him back, and I was like, you know, I don't want to violate this conversation, but I'm going to use what I wrote you back as a script to an upcoming video, and I've written it, and it's ready to be filmed probably this coming weekend. So
Love it. It's
inspiration
exciting.
comes from a lot of different places, and I appreciate it coming from you. So thanks for that,
No, it's my pleasure.
giving me the leeway to do that, because usually conversations are sacrosanct, but if something comes out of it, why not?
Heck, I think that's why we're in it. People always ask me, it's like, why do you use a fountain pen? You can use anything, and
Sure.
and I read a book years ago by David Allen. It was called Getting Things Done, and he said, you use what you need to do to feel comfortable to be the most productive, and that means if it's an expensive pen, then get an expensive pen. and
Yeah.
and so I did. I went and got the pen I wanted to get and used the pen I want to do. And as I've gone through now and explored other pens, I feel like I write with history in many ways, and
Oh
I,
yeah, I like that.
I love that feel. I love
What
that. I
was
love
that
that
pen
feeling.
that you had to have? What was the expensive one?
This is what it was. A Parker IM is actually what it was.
Oh, okay, very
Wasn't that expensive at the? I mean, now I
yeah.
think this one cost like $70 at the time, um,
But
and
in
I bought it.
context, it's
And
funny, life,
oh
your life changes.
yeah,
So
I was new in my career. I only had a couple
yeah,
of kids. So $70 was a lot of
yeah, it's a
money,
lot for a pen. It's a lot of money
and
even now.
yeah, and so I bought it. I had a plastic cross pen and fountain pen in college, but bought this and I used it for 10 years straight. Didn't even try another. Didn't even look at another fountain pen.
Mm,
I was like I was afraid to cheat on it or something.
nice.
And
I did that
but
with the
then,
Montblanc 149. I used it for
yeah,
like 4 years solid. Hardly any
yeah.
other pen.
Yeah, I actually lost this pen on a plane to Tokyo once and made
Oh,
everybody wait while we searched on the floor to get it. It was like, I'm not getting off the plane until we find the pen.
nice.
And,
Well, I'm glad you found it. That's
yeah,
great.
so anyway,
See, I
started me
love
on the
stories
journey.
like that. Sorry?
It just started me on the journey, and that was that
Yeah,
was
it
that was
really
what it
does. I
was.
have a good friend who, one of my attorneys, and he says that, well, plumbers spend a lot of money for their tools, electricians. I'm an attorney. So what is my tool? A fountain pen.
Fountain
So I'm
pen.
going to spend a lot of money for it because it's a priority, the experience
Yep.
of writing. So I think that's a brilliant way to put it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I told my kids I was going to be on this show tonight, and they said, "Well, what's the show about?" I was like, "What do you think it's about?" It's like probably fountain pens and journaling. I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it's
Nice.
going to be." So my kids know they've all gotten plenty of fountain pens for Christmas. A couple of my kids do enjoy journaling, and one of my sons sells fountain pens in junior high, so he's
Oh, isn't
becoming an
that lovely?
entrepreneur.
Kind of
So
keeping the legacy going.
yeah, yeah, he's just expanded into Jinhao's X159 because we got a
Oh,
direct dealer relationship and got him for $1 a piece.
oh, that's great. That's really good. I'm Wolf Kate Witch sent me a 99109 that I'm looking forward to delving into. So I
Yeah,
film that
seen
with
that.
Wearing Jewel Hamlet next. So I think it's time for us to wrap up this evening. I want to tell you it is an absolute joy for me to have you here.
Always.
I could talk to you all night. I'm sure sometime I will. Also, thanks for all your support of the channel. It's fantastic. You've been with me since the beginning. It means a lot. Thank you.
My pleasure. We're missing great content in this world that just inspires us to think and
Mm,
to rethink. And I think you're filling a good little spot in the world to just get us thinking about good things. Regardless of religion or belief or background, you just yeah, you always say, what did you say? You start with this is a channel for curious people,
that's right.
and I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
I've gone deeper into poetry since showing your channel.
Oh, wow.
I've always been a journaler, but I've expanded in how I journal with some of the things that you said, and
Oh,
so
nice.
it's just good content that I think the world needs. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone watching. Thank you all for being here. It's fantastic. I'm sure we'll be seeing Benjo again around the show. And I guess it's time for us to say goodnight. So thank you all for watching. I'll keep Benjo on with me. As I say, got a new video coming out on Thursday. This week I think is Beautiful Nibs. Benjo, what do you think of that? Some
I
beautiful
love it.
nibs.
Beautiful nibs. I love it. I love it. I think
Right.
nibs is a deep conversation that needs to be had.
And this is all aesthetics. So it's all
Yes.
about beauty. So
All
how could
about
that be
beauty.
bad?
Love it.
Exactly. So
Absolutely.
that's Thursday. So I can promise to you all that we will see each other again. Where, Benjo? Where will we see each other again?
Yeah, right here next Tuesday.
That's right. Further up the road, right?
Further up the road.
That's right. So thanks all. Everyone stay well. Thank you, Benjo. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Thank you. My pleasure.